Thank you, Chairman Schumer, and I need to preside at 11, so I appreciate you doing that. And I'd like to thank you for holding this hearing. Campaign finance reform is an issue you and I both care about deeply, and I know we share strong concerns about financing elections in the wake of the recent Supreme Court decision. 50 years ago, when my father, Stuart Udall, and my Uncle Mo were in office, money had a minimal impact on the electoral and political system. It was about connecting with people and about the marketplace of ideas. Right now, it's just as much about the biggest checkbooks, if not more so than it is about the best ideas. Unfortunately, we're about to see a lot more big checkbooks in the election process. Last month's Supreme Court decision in Citizens United versus FEC was a victory for special interests at the expense of the average American. We've seen firsthand the impact special interests like big oil and big banks and health insurance companies have had on the legislative process. Now, with this decision, already powerful corporations and unions will be able to further open their bank accounts, further drowning out the voices of everyday Americans in the political process. Members of both chambers and the administration are working on legislation to address the Citizens United decision. I commend their efforts, but I believe that a comprehensive overhaul of the campaign finance system is necessary in order to restore public faith in our elections. The Supreme Court has shown its willingness to rule broadly and ignore long-standing precedent when it is reviewing the constitutionality of campaign finance laws. The best long-term solution is a constitutional amendment that would prevent the court from overturning sensible campaign finance regulations. I would welcome the opportunity to join my colleagues in introducing such an amendment. While I believe that a constitutional amendment is the ideal solution, I also think that comprehensive reform legislation is a step in the right direction. As a member in the House for 10 years, I joined Representative Dave Obey as an original co-sponsor of the Let the People Decide Clean Campaign Act, a bill that would fundamentally change how House elections are conducted. Mr. Obey reintroduced his bill in this Congress, and I intend to introduce a companion bill in the Senate in the coming weeks. The Act does not attempt to fine-tune the existing congressional campaign finance system or tweak the edges. Rather, it makes fundamental, wholesale changes to fundraising by candidates, regulations of outside groups, and the role of political parties. It contains a finding that America's faith in the election system has been fundamentally corrupted by big money from outside interest groups. It establishes a system of voluntary contributions to provide public financing of campaigns for Senate candidates in general elections. It provides more funds than the current system for the vast majority of challengers to mount their campaigns. It empowers voters with the knowledge that their vote affects the outcome of the current election and also affects the amount of funds distributed to nominees in future elections. It bans all independent expenditures so that only the candidate is responsible for his or her message. It provides for expedited consideration of a constitutional amendment, allowing these changes if the Supreme Court rejects the plan. It provides a process by which third-party candidates can also participate in the system. Money can have a corrosive effect on the political process. We've seen evidence of that in campaigns at all levels of government. We have long needed substantive campaign finance reform, and it's my hope that the High Court's disappointing decision will provide the push we need to put elections back in the hands of average Americans and not the special interests who can use their unlimited bank accounts to railroad the process to their preferred conclusion. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would yield back, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to give my statement before heading out to preside.
Thank you for your excellent statement.
Look forward to working with you very closely.